Good day, everyone. Today's video is back into SPSS, following up from the prior one where we used the date and time wizard to extract the year, month, day of week, and hour of each incident. This data set's still the Little Rock crime incidents. We pulled it from their website, brought it in, and opened it in SPSS. Introduced the variable view in the last video. Today's video is going to focus on actually running frequencies. So we can run a frequency is essentially the count of a variable itself. So with that, we have a couple ones in here that we can look at. Going to cover some of the options that you have when you go through the frequencies. You can see we can look at districts, we can look at the offense code that correlates or relates to the offense description. We can look at weapon type, but also we can look at it by year, month, day of week, hour. If you keep in mind, at some point we'll get into day of week and hour, create a lovely pivot table in SPSS. You can easily do it in Excel, just showing you how to do it in SPSS. With that though, we have our data sets. We're pretty good to work with now and just running basic frequencies, getting an account on some of these measures. With that, if we hop up into Analyze, come down, we have Descriptive Statistics. And with that, the first one up here is just simply frequencies. So it's truly asking, I'm just gonna make this a bit larger. It's gonna build a frequency table for you. To start off with, I'm just interested in the number of crime incidents per year. So we know our data set goes into 2023, the start of it, and it goes back to, I believe it was 2016. We'll find out here in a second. So if you just double click that over here, you can click on statistics and get different options here, measure central tendency and dispersion or variability. For our purposes, we just want to count. So we're not as interested in the mean, median, mode, or any of the actual distribution skewness or kurtosis or the variability within it or variation. Right now, we truly just want a count of. We can get into some of these other descriptives in the actual descriptives part, but you can also get into making charts. We'll run it once, just getting the numbers. Then we'll come back and make a bar chart because everyone likes a good chart to add into it. SPSS, I will say, isn't as, I would say, data visualization friendly as some of your other programs, but it does give you the ability to manipulate, take it into other programs, or export out of it anyways. Format. What I'm going to do is leave it in ascending values. So say you're interested in, say, crime counts and you want it in descending, so your highest ones come up first. We'll run an example of that, but right now we'll keep it in ascending value. And then you have other options within all of this. And I will say, as we progress and get into different levels of analysis, we'll use more and more of these options over here. Just familiarize yourself with these. More times than not, I use the format one more than any of the other ones. I don't make as many charts in SPSS as I do just other programs, but not a bad one. I'm not going to paste this one. By all means, you can paste it. I'm just going to click run. I'll paste another one just so we can see what it looks like. But when I click OK, it's going to run this and it put it in my output for me. So you can see overall, we had just under 90,000 incidents. And it's from 2017 through 2022, so I did trim it down. You can see by year what that looks like. And you can see 2017 had a lot of crime compared to the following calendar years itself. Now, a good way to view this, and we might be interested in then actually seeing this in a bar chart. Keep in mind, this opened in an output field for us. So this is different from our syntax, different from the data, and you can save output the same way. So you can save this to where when you save it and you reopen it, it's going to open this for you itself. You can give it a different name to it as well. So if you're running a lot of analyses and you don't want to just keep the syntax, but also the output, go ahead and go up to File, Save As. And this is in my courses, SPSS, frequency, output example. So anytime I want to save this and reopen it, all of this information is going to pull up for me. And the nice part is if you're already in your output and you want to say rerun something, add something to it, if we hop back up to Analyze, go into Descriptive Statistics and Frequencies, it has the same part to it. It has what you loaded in already, so you don't need to reset anything. It pulls up what you ran last. This time I'm actually going to add in a chart, and I want a bar chart to see what this looks like. And we can do it, if you want to do based on percentage of all the crime across these years, you could, but I'm just going to keep it as frequency first. And hit OK. And now you can see based on each year, and we have 6 years here, what this looks like across the calendar years. You can see as I hover over the chart, if I double click, it activates it. I'm going to pull both of these over. It gives you the ability to edit your chart. This video is not meant to get into changing all the elements to it. Again, I don't prefer SPSS for this. It does give you a lot of flexibility. It's just a bit more point and click and finding everything you need into it versus some of the other programs you can work with, or just hop into Canva and take the same data kind of thing. Didn't mean to exit fully out of it, but we still have our output here with that. So this is a quick way to just look at frequency by year, seeing what that looks like for our crime incidents. Say we're just as interested in this, but let's look at one of the other ones we just made. So let's go into our descriptives, frequencies again, and say you had a lot of variables in here that you're running frequencies with, and you just want to reset. You can reset it and it goes back to a blank one to where you can fill it back in for that. And say this time you want to run frequencies on multiple variables, just not one. So let's say we're interested in offense description. So that's the code of it. Weapon type. And let's pull in the month itself. So here we have 3 different ones. It's going to give us a frequency table for offense description, one for weapon type, and then another one for the incident month itself. Each one of these is going to be separate. It's not going to have overlap between the two in terms of how many offenses also had a weapon. Crosstabs will bring that up in a future video. This is truly just a frequency of each specific variable that we're looking at here. With that, I can go in though and change this. If I want to say change format type, I want to do descending counts. And you can see, it goes across each one. So now it's going to have it based on the most frequent month is going to be at the top, most frequent weapon, and most frequent offense itself. So when I click OK here, you can see on my output that I have my frequencies that I ran this 3rd time. This time it has it by offense, weapon, and month. And this is kind of essentially the step-by-steps that you've been running with. First one was just the table. My second one was the table plus a bar chart. My 3rd frequency I just ran was frequency with 3 different variables and descending count order. So with that, if we look at all of our data across those 6 years, we have ag assault as the highest, which I'm actually a little surprised about compared to even, I was thinking larceny was going to be up there. But you can see our most frequent offense in this data set is ag assault. It has 16,478. And of that, that's 18% of our overall data set. 18.3% of overall crime for those 6 years are aggravated assaults. So that's how you look at the percent here. The cumulative percent is just taking each individual one, adding them together until you get to 100%. So that's how you can look at this table itself. Weapon type, the top one here is blank. So most of the crimes, 77.7% of crimes in Little Rock over these 6 years did not include some type of weapon. The one question I would have is the one that they have here. I'm wondering if that's just a typo and then 2 of them. Unknown is interesting that they keep in there. But you can see when there is a known weapon, firearm and handgun are the top 2. There's other types of firearms in here. You can see that down here, but you can see what percentage of firearm was 5.7, handgun 5.4. If we get down into shotgun, it was 0.1. So it does give you that breakdown of weapon type. And similarly, if we go down now to month of incident, our greatest month is August. So we see that about 9.2% of all of our crime occurs in August. Similarly, we can see that some of our lowest months were December and February. It's interesting that January you see an uptick. I would be interested in time of day and day of week with some of that as well over this, and if there's any outliers with it. Just thinking of seasonality and month trends and knowing this is Little Rock, and come summer months and kind of our cooler months, you get more people outdoors, more routine activities, and in the colder winter parts, it might change. I always wonder, given this is August, almost the idea if it's too damn hot to get outside, but then again, there also is the argument that when it gets hotter out, people are more agitated and more arguments, yada, 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 down that line. But with that, that's a couple ways to run frequencies and look at this fairly quickly. And keep in mind, when you go into descriptives and frequencies, it's truly giving you that account of each specific one. So if, again, say you weren't happy, you came back to it, and it's like, shit, I forgot what I was doing. Reset. This is a blank slate starting over. So say now you're interested in incident hour. This time it's actually important to keep it in ascending value. So we want, it should be military time. So we're good with that. We don't care as much about the descending counts or ascending. We just want to keep it in the format it is. Let's go into a chart, and this time let's change it up. If we want to, we can add in a histogram itself or a bar chart or a pie chart. Let's do a pie chart this time. Again, keep in mind it's going to be 23 different sections, so I'm assuming it's going to get a little messy here in a second, but it's just to show what's possible with this. Click continue. This time I'm going to hit paste to show you what this looks like in the syntax part. So since we're in output, I need to go back into my syntax, our first one over here, and I'm going to put in, since I was working with the date and time, this is frequencies. And you can see, since I did the asterisk and type frequency, I don't have a period at the end. So once I put a period, it reactivates the data set itself. If I keep it open and don't have that period, I would need an enter in between to specify it's no longer a note. And then I can run this itself. So if I highlight it, hit run, it's now putting out a very colorful pie chart based on hour of the day for all the crime incidents. If you hover over, you can still click on each one. You have some ability to change colors and everything with that. Again, this doesn't give you a lot from a visualization standpoint. That's why I like a temporal heat map, and then you can filter based on crime type or slice it if you think about it that way and look at it that way as a whole. But it does give you some ability to manipulate and tailor this chart to how you want it to look, add labels, everything to that. But you can see it looks like midnight's kind of a more frequent one, and even, oh, this is hard to gauge. Is that 11? No, that's too dark. Maybe 16. Yeah, there it is, 16. It has it highlighted around for me. So that's what, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, pie chart's not the best one. I would recommend the bar chart if you were to truly want to look at it this way. So let's just change that part and we'll see how this changes. You can see here, we ran frequencies based on the hour. It brought up a pie chart for us for the frequencies and ordered the analysis that way that we specified. So we hop back into analyze, descriptive frequencies. Let's just change the chart to a bar chart, continue, hit OK. And we can see much more now, not surprisingly, when people are sleeping, think about routine activities and that, you see a lull or a dip in crime throughout the morning. Then you see about 4 o'clock going into the evening that there is a drop again. Again, this is all crime types. This is not crime specific. This is not disaggregated. So we know crime disaggregation is important spatially and temporally because they have different spatial temporal patterns. When burglary is high versus ag assault versus theft, and if you think about even retail crimes or commercial crimes, different pattern than other types of crime itself. With that, there's a couple different ways just to run frequencies on variables. It's just truly frequency as a count of the different categories within it. So we know across hour of the day, we have 23 here. So those are our categories. So across each category of data we have a different count of it being present. So that's why across each one of these, we see something a little different. So for 2017, we had 17,145 crime incidents. 2022, we see a drop to 13,560 across all crime itself. So think about it that way of frequencies is truly a count of the categories within each variable. And it's more common than people probably think. We do have blanks, we do have missing data. So it's important to understand what is missing and what is accounted for within our coding structure itself. With that, if there's any questions, feel free to reach out. Until next time, take care.